Good to have you back. I didn't know much about this film the first time I saw it, and despite being confused by a number of elements, I found it funny, engaging and perceptive. I loved the experience of watching it for the first time, and I've loved it more with every repeat viewing. It is from the world's greatest surrealist filmmaker, who is also amongst cinema's all-time greats. It is That Obscure Object of Desire from 1977. Prior to this, there had been 4 previous films based on the 1898 novel The Woman and the Puppet by Pierre Louis. A 1920 film directed by Reginald Barker starred Geraldine Farrar. A 1929 version directed by Jacques de Bertinelli starred Conchita Montenegro. A 1935 film titled The Devil is a Woman was directed by Joseph von Sternberg and starred Marlene Dietrich. And a 1959 version directed by Julien Duvier starred Brigitte Bardot. In short, this is the story of an older man who falls under the spell of a beautiful virginal young woman as she repeatedly seduces and then rebuffs him. She tortures him emotionally by flirting with other men before inviting him into her bed only to frustrate him again and again. It's cruel but also very funny, the target of director Luis Bunuel's humour being his own sexual desires as much as the desires of all men. Bunuel was the father of cinematic surrealism and one of the most original directors in the history of film. His strict Jesuit education was the source of his obsession with religion, sex and subversive behaviour, themes which played out across many of his films. In 1917, Bunuel moved to Madrid to study meeting and befriending artist Salvador Dali and poet, playwright and theatre director Federico Garcia Lorca. After moving to Paris in 1925, Bunuel did a variety of film-related odd jobs before collaborating with Dali on Un Chien Andalou in 1929. This catapulted him into film history and helped him to gain membership of the Surrealist group and benefit from the support of wealthy art patrons. Bunuel's work took him to the US in the 1930s, Mexico in the 40s and 50s, and then back to Spain at the beginning of the 1960s. By this time, such was Bunuel's reputation that people were willing to finance anything that Louis wanted to make, and many of his best films came in this period, which extended to the end of his filmmaking career. As he does in Belle de Jour and Phantom of Liberty, Bunuel has a cameo walk-on in this film. Immediately after Fernando Rey's first scene, Luis Bunuel and his chauffeur are blown to bits on their way to the bank, victims of an unexplained terrorist attack. That Obscure Object of Desire is most notable for its use of 2 actresses, Carol Bouquet and Angela Molina, in the single role of Conchita, with the actresses switching roles in alternate scenes and sometimes even in the middle of scenes. Somewhat ironically, this creative decision was born of frustration with a different woman. Maria Schneider was originally cast as Conchita, but was creating on-set issues, in part due to her concerns about on-screen nudity, but more as a result of her drug issues that had emerged after her difficult experiences in the film Last Tango in Paris and the appalling way in which she was treated. Production stalled after 3 days of shooting, and it appeared that the film would need to be abandoned, which would have led to a considerable financial loss. So Bunuel and his producer Serge Silberman decided to drown their sorrows in a local bar. After a few drinks, Bunuel, as a joke, suggested they use 2 actresses for the role of Conchita. When Silberman said he loved the idea, the production restarted. In line with Bunuel's religious obsession, both Conchita's and her mother's names have religious symbolism. Conchita's full name is Concepcion, which references the Immaculate Conception of Catholic theology, and the mother's name is Encarnacion, which means incarnation in traditional Christianity. Most critics were charmed by the use of 2 actresses for a single role. New York Times critic Vincent Canby said, "Conchita is so changeable that Bunuel has cast 2 lovely new actresses to play her. Carol Bouquet as the coolly enigmatic Conchita, and Angela Molina as the earthy flamenco dancing Conchita. Miss Bouquet and Miss Molina are enchanting. I don't think Bunuel has ever before been so successful with neophyte actresses." After threatening to retire for more than a decade, this film turned out to be Bunuel's last. While I'm glad he didn't retire sooner, given how good his last 6 films were, it's disappointing that this was his last film, as he was capable of even more great films. When he finished with filmmaking, Bunuel wrote a memorable autobiography in which, as a true surrealist, he said that he'd be happy to burn all the prints of all of his films. This film was not financially successful, but it became a critical favourite, garnering Best Foreign Language Film nominations at the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards. The National Board of Review and the Los Angeles Film Critics Association both awarded it the Best Foreign Language Film in 1977. Bunuel won Best Director at the National Board of Review and National Society of Film Critics Awards and was nominated at the French César Awards. Subsequently, many critics have declared the film a masterpiece. The British Film Institute's 2012 Sight and Sound poll ranked it as one of the 10 greatest films ever made. So many reasons to watch this film. Like all Bunuel films, this is one that's full of surprises. The two actresses playing Conchita are enjoyable to watch, and I think that the film is funny and fabulously entertaining. So what I suggest you do is go to our website, find our virtual screenings page, find the link to this particular film, click on it and watch it. And as always, see what you think. We'd love you to come back, let others know your thoughts on the film and whether you'd recommend it for them also. And then we'll see you back again in the not too distant future for our next classic films review. Catch you next time.